Last week, the SEC's case against Ripple was finally laid to rest, and a welcome development for many reasons, including that minds once occupied with litigation can now concentrate on creating a clear regulatory framework for crypto. This was posted by Hester Pierce, and shortly after that, news broke all across the world, all across Twitter, about Ripple versus SEC's lawsuit ending.
Mass adoption retail DeFi is a little bit stalled right now because the crypto space itself can't provide the stuff that ordinary people want. People need on and off ramps. They need to be able to get to their money. They need like sensible investments, like speculation in cryptocurrencies is great, but it's not going to replace your retirement account. This institutional adoption through stablecoins and real world assets is what's going to enable that next wave of retail adoption of DeFi, where we can provide the tools that like ordinary people actually use the financial system for. What we have right now in the DeFi space, we have collectibles and we have like highly speculative, high risk things. We have yield seeking that's sort of like high risk, potentially high reward, but very volatile. That's not what's going to build the new financial system. What's going to build the new financial system is loans, retirement accounts, investment accounts, payments, on and off ramps, the stuff that everybody needs every day. And this wave of institutional adoption through things like stablecoins and tokenized real world assets is what's going to give the crypto space the tools it needs to really grow DeFi from, maybe $120 billion into the trillions.
I'll make some other videos about Ethereum and some altcoins on Ethereum's blockchain that I see exploding as Ethereum breaks its all-time high. But this video, we're talking about XRP because the SEC case against Ripple is finally laid to rest. I mean, this case has gone on for over 5 years. It's dragged on way too long. And the only real marketing that we've seen from Ripple in regards to this case ending is just a retweet right here from Stuart Alderati talking about how the SEC and Ripple formally filed direct with the Second Circuit to dismiss their appeals. The end. And now back to business. That's about it. And Brad Garlinghouse reposted Hester Pierce's post right here. But other than that, no video, no announcement, no tearjerker from Brad Garlinghouse here talking about how massive of a moment this is for Ripple. Nothing. And I find that a little strange. We'll talk about the next major move for XRP on the price chart in a little bit, but before we do, listen to what CNBC is saying about crypto ETFs right here.
Speaking of crypto, Nate, similar to the push to market we're seeing in IPOs, you're seeing a lot of what you call a boatload of crypto ETF filings. What does that mean, and how does that differ from what we've seen in the past?
Well, it's interesting because the three major stock exchanges, so NYSE, NASDAQ, and CBOE, they have all filed with the SEC for generic listing standards for crypto ETFs, which basically means that the exchanges wouldn't need to seek specific approval for each spot crypto ETF as long as it meets certain criteria. So this would streamline the approval process. And that's important because right now there are filings out there from multiple issuers for XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs, Cardano, HBAR. We could go on down the list, but there are a boatload of filings out there. And the expectation is that the standardized crypto framework will be implemented, say, in the next 2 months or so. And so if and when that happens, I think you're going to see the floodgates open. We're going to see a wave of approvals, and you're going to see, again, a boatload of new crypto ETFs coming to market.
And if you look at all the companies that have filed for XRP ETFs and their assets under management, well, Bitwise, $5 billion, Canary Capital's 21 shares is $7 billion, Wisdom Tree, $113 billion, ProShares, $70 billion, Grayscale, $40 billion, CoinShares, $5 billion, Volatility Shares, $5 billion, Franklin Templeton, $1.5 trillion, Hashdex, $1 billion, Tectrium, $320 million. So these are not small companies here. They know what's coming over the next few months. So it's inevitable. And even Ethereum CEO Vitalik Buterin in a 2014 presentation said this about XRP.
Here's this other interesting system called Ripple. So Ripple here's basically how it works. You have people in the system, everyone in the system has a debt to everyone, can have credit relationships with other people in the system. Not everyone has a credit relationship to everyone else. I might trust Richard with some amount of money, but I might not trust some random person in China. However, if I want to send some money to some random person in China, there's probably going to be some chain of people where each of us have a credit line with each other. So if I want to send $10 off to my friend in China, the way that it works is that I would send $10, where by sending $10, that really mean I would cancel a debt, or we would agree that the debt changed by $10. And then my friend would do the same with his friend, and then his friend would do the same with his friend, and so forth. So Ripple is just a mechanism for automating this. So as it turns out, Ripple is completely not a new idea. It was around in this concept of koala networks. Now, however, koala networks have been digitized and coupled with a decentralized consensus algorithm. Magic. So the advantage of Ripple is that with Ripple, you can store any currency on the blockchain if someone is willing to act as a backer. So one of the big problems with Bitcoin so far is its volatility. It's gone up from 1 to 32 to 2 to 266 to 65 to 1200 to did it go to the moon yet? Yeah, it's getting there. So most people don't really want to deal with that. They don't prefer to just have plain old dollars, but still be able to use this sort of hyper efficient financial system in order to transfer them. So you just send them over on the Ripple network. That's really what Ethereum is. People talk a lot about cryptocurrency 2.0 being like the internet of value. We're not the internet of value. Ripple is the internet of value. We're an arbitrary processor for state transaction functions. Got that?
So did you guys catch that? He said that Ethereum is not the internet of value. Ripple is the internet of value. That's coming from the CEO of the largest altcoin in the world. Well, if you want to see the direct code linking XRP to ISO 222 and SWIFT, RippleNet's payment code directly references the ISO 222 external clearing system identification code list. And so R3 Corda's code base imports modules like XRP payment, XRP settlement, SWIFT service, SWIFT payment status type, putting XRP and SWIFT functions in the same system. And so the reason why this matters is because any token or company interacting with SWIFT must be ISO 222 compliant. And this code shows XRP meets that standard, meaning Ripple can technically connect and settle with any SWIFT-enabled institution through the XRP ledger in order for trillions of dollars to be flowing through XRP. Now, many of you guys remember this clip, but I'm going to play it another time because it's extremely important what he says here.
I used to work for SWIFT. I was SWIFT for 20 years, so SWIFT is flowing through my veins. SWIFT is the preeminent messaging system for the financial industry, which covers, say, payments, FX, trade, in terms of securities, etc., NOSTA reconciliations, etc. What we're looking with the crypto, though, is where SWIFT would have a store and forward system for most of its payment transactions, where you need service level agreements that in a certain time I will do something, the payment turns up at a certain time during the day. Here we're looking at the new network styles, which allow instant, real-time movement of the funds and visibility of those funds as well. So we would not have a situation where banks need to come back to you and say, have my funds arrived? It's 3 days later. I need to find out or find query messages moving around the network. There's nothing like that. I don't believe Ripple is going to replace SWIFT. Ripple is one of the complementary networks, which is going to allow those institutions who need real time to make use of that. And I think we're also seeing that SWIFT are changing their network capability so that real time will be a possibility as well. But we may also see Ripple XRP moving across the SWIFT network as a currency when we're perhaps using something like FX.
Plus, when you got massive companies filing for XRP ETFs, it's inevitable over the next few months we're going to start to see a lot of these 401ks start to roll over into crypto. Just from a psychological perspective, they're prepping all of these baby boomers that have 401ks to be bullish on crypto. And Standard Charter is saying we see payment service providers and coin providers like Ripple's XRP native on ISO 222. That's their global head of transaction banking at Standard Charter. And he also said we can use ISO 222 to bridge between traditional and decentralized finance. When you then take the rich data into that and combine it, you have almost the perfect innovation system. Now, here's the biggest argument against Ripple's XRP that I have seen from XRP haters. And this post right here sums it up. Ripple releases 1 billion XRP from Escrow at August 9th, valued at $3.28 billion into circulation. This involved 3 transactions, 500 million XRP to an unknown wallet, 100 million XRP to Ripple, and 400 million XRP to the company. As part of the 2017 protocol designed to stabilize market supply, this event occurred amidst a bullish market for XRP following the company's recent legal victory in the U.S. court case. So, with Hester Pierce making this post about the lawsuit, the SEC posting it on their official website, us not really seeing anything from CEO Brad Garlinghouse other than a repost of Hester Pierce, and same thing for Stuart Alderati on Ripple's page. Ripple had virtually no PR plan for this event, which is the most significant event in Ripple's history for this 5-year plus lawsuit. Instead, we're seeing this get circulated everywhere about Ripple releasing XRP from Escrow, and people like this guy right here saying they want you to buy XRP while they sell it. So it's undeniable. Ripple has been selling XRP. However, this is what 99% of crypto investors don't truly understand. So we responded back to his post saying, this is a great way to show everyone you don't fully understand how business works. Because when you compare to TradFi companies, like for example, Elon Musk has sold 160 million Tesla shares for a total of $59 to $62 billion from 2010 to 2022. And Tesla is still up over 40,000% since 2010, regardless of Elon Musk selling roughly $60 billion worth of the stock. This also helped Elon acquire what? Twitter. Mark Zuckerberg has sold approximately $7.7 billion in Facebook stock from 2012 to 2024. And Meta is up over 5,000%, currently making an all-time high. Jeff Bezos has sold about $20 billion in Amazon stock from 2004 to 2024. And Amazon is up over 20,000%, sitting at upwards of $220 since then. So the people who've been hating on Ripple execs like Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, that have sold XRP, well, they've sold a total of roughly 1.26 billion XRP. And obviously that's going to be different based on when you're watching this video. And since 2014, Ripple has acquired companies like Medico for $250 million, Standard Custody and Trust, that cost was undisclosed, Hidden Road for $1.25 billion, Rail for $200 million. They even put in an offer for USDC Circle, just to name a few. So on the surface level, a general post like this with just some random person, I don't even know who this guy is, saying they want you to buy XRP while they sell it,